is BBC Two. Now, highly acclaimed classical actor Nicholas Craig presents part one of his prestigious new documentary series, The Naked Actor.
Acting is one of man's most ingenious ways of delighting himself. It is a process by which he is informed, improved, and hopefully given a bloody good night out. Every evening of the week and twice on Wednesdays and Saturdays, the shattering power of live performance changes someone's life forever. This is only possible thanks to an extraordinary race of people called actors. Who are these actors, and wherein lies their innate extraordinariness? That's what we're going to try and find out in this program. We begin our quest on the south coast of England at Bexhill-on-Sea, because it was here, at the Delaware Pavilion, that I first discovered what it means to be extraordinary, to be an actor. If we want to find the source of the actor's power, we should perhaps examine the notion of theatre itself. Just what is theatre?
Theatre is a giant bordello.
It's like that great big precious vase.
It's like a beautiful handmade suit.
It's almost like a sort of booster television mast.
Or a beautiful handmade piece of furniture.
So theatre, then, is a many-headed beast, and the actor is at once its cook, tailor, good time girl, and engineer. How does he manage it? How does the actor transform this structure of bricks and mortar into the hospital of the soul, which any really ballsy, crackly show has to be? Well, it is an immensely difficult job.
It needs a lot of guts.
It's a very tough profession.
Torture.
The surgeon has his scalpel, the judge his wig, the humble brickie his hod. But the actor in performance has only himself. He is the craftsman and the tool.
He goes on the stage stark naked.
If you've ever suffered from stage fright of any kind as an actor, my advice is just take your clothes off.
So I was pretty much stark naked in front of the first night audience.
And I'm suddenly on stage, no clothes, no lines, and in a state of terror.
The puzzling thing is that actors are in many ways ordinary human beings. We get up, we read the paper, we fall in love and occasionally throw our lunch at people, just like Joe Bloggs up there on the top of the Clapham omnibus. But there is an intangible inner quality that poor old Joe will never have. So what is this quality within the actor that can make an audience go all wobbly before he's even expanded his diaphragm?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
You know, you never do know.
I don't know there's anything to do with the stars.
I don't know, I think that it's...
It may have something, I suppose, to do with what your mother ate when she was carrying you.
I don't quite know what it is, but I have such a slavish metabolism.
Well, I see it in the mirror. So, here we have the base elements of the acting compound. Voice, wig, mother's diet, slavish metabolism. But in order to make these effective, the actor has to generate phenomenal amounts of performance voltage. It's a process we call actrolysis, and it is very, very exhausting.
To face a first-night audience before whom to lay open your soul.
One felt a bit grim.
To put your entire life in jeopardy time after time.
A bit hard.
To bare your back to the stripes of the critics.
Oh, it's a long, long struggle.
And to go on doing these things year after year, always with the terror increasing.
Shoestring is quite hard work, too.
It was hard work.
It is hard.
Oh, dreadful.
Torture.
In America recently, they carried out an experiment to measure just how tough a job acting is. They got an Olympic athlete to copy precisely the movements of an actor from the time he got up right through to the Chinese meal after the evening performance. Well, the athlete made it to the restaurant, and he somehow managed to keep pace with the actor and his colleagues through the post-performance routine of anecdotes, impromptu singing, and regional accents. However, the discussion about how the bill was to be divided up had been going barely an hour when the athlete staggered from the table and stumbled into the night saying he couldn't take any more. Interesting, isn't it?
You have to work very, very, very hard.
People think it's easy.
It is hell.
Hell.
And it gets worse.
Yes, it does get worse.
And it got much, much worse.
It was the nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
Torture.
Why is it that actors subject themselves to such a hard, tough, naked, torturesome, and worsening existence? Sometimes we wonder ourselves.
Well, it's...
They're far more eloquent than I could be at this moment.
Ever since man first dragged himself out of the primordial slime, actors have been motivated by one thing: an overwhelming urge to get up and do a bit. The fundamental need to just bloody well get up and do it is common to actors through the ages. Burbage, Garrick, Keane, Irving, Peter Barkworth, all bound by one burning urge. Acto, ergo sum. I act, therefore I am.
But I do love it.
I mean, I love it.
Joy.
Wonderful.
Marvellous.
Fabulous. It's marvellous.
Wonderful, wonderful.
It's terrifying.
It's extraordinary and wonderful.
Very nerve-wracking.
Fabulous.
I had such fun.
Torture.
Lovely yet tough, torture yet super. The highs and lows that are the actor's portion.
So it's like trying to make a refrigerator work in the desert.
But what of the performance experience itself? What does it actually feel like to be out there in the desert, struggling with that faulty fridge?
Acting in a way is like swimming.
It's like a waterfall.
And if you take your toe off the sand and really swim, then something can throw you.
It's like a string quartet, really.
Because you're on a tightrope.
It is immensely difficult to describe the acting process in broad, concrete terms.
I think of it very much like you compare an artist painting a picture.
So if you think of the whole thing as an iceberg.
Those beautiful Chinese drawings, you know, where they have very absorbent rice paper and they have ink that dries very quickly.
And the top of it is what you finally see.
They dip them in, they paint quickly, like that.
We're the ones who get a chance to come along, dance around on the tip of the iceberg, getting noticed.
Acting is a highly skilled job. And like swimming on a tightrope or dancing on an iceberg, you can't become an expert overnight. First, you have to go into rep.
You have to, it's like having 3 saucepans and you have to keep juggling them onto the hot, you know, the front burner.
So you carry 3 plays in your head, right?
It would be like a violinist, you know, playing the Beethoven and suddenly going into the Elgar.
I can't understand these young actors who go herring off into film and television. When I was a young shaver, I couldn't wait to go and learn my craft at places like Aylesbury and Kettering and Fishguard. Unfortunately, there weren't any theatres there, but I did come here to Bexhill, which was smashing.
Because it's an absolutely unique experience. Electric and extraordinary.
The rep actor has to develop extraordinary dexterity. He also has to manage to cope with the almost limitless range of disastrous and hilariously corpsey things that can happen.
I was doing Henry at Coventry for the tercentenary.
A difficult task at the best of times.
And it had lots of wonderful arrow tricks in it. And
a doorbell rang.
And she came in through the fireplace.
And hit the back wall, which fell down on top of my head and left my beloved clinging to the rafters.
And I thought, I can't believe this. I just can't believe it.
The next thing is I'm in the wings and this guy said, "You're on," and they push me out.
And I take 1 foot on stage and 3 foot of lavatory train went ka-chunk.
Bam.
Bonk, 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 bonk,
Biff.
Bash. clunk.
And it got much, much worse.
The whole thing fell down on top of it, leaving poor old Francesca clinging to the rafters.
He looked at her and they went, ah!
I gripped myself not to laugh. It was just horror.
And we just all went. Small cast, but completely.
I thought, oh, thank Christ, that's over.
He was still in a state at the party afterwards.
Absolutely upset Dutch.
I was really quite pleased that we were moving on the other side of the Pennines.
3 nights later, at exactly the same spot in the same play, exactly the same thing happened again.
This was the dressing room that I grew to love. And even after all these years, the aroma of sweat and grease paint and good fellowship still lingers on. Rep is where you make your friends for life. Great hearts, all, whom you never forget, even if they don't do terribly well later on and you sort of lose touch. It was here that I first felt the sting of spirit gum on my upper lip and the warmth of a cosy on my back. The camaraderie of those times stays fresh in the memory.
Another occasion, which I'd love to tell you about, was
in the Victoria Theatre, Stoke-on-Trent.
Bristol Vic.
In Coventry.
At Guildford.
At the Watford Palace.
In Lincoln.
East Anglia and Wiswich.
I can't remember what happened, but I know we laughed a lot.
Bexhill is so full of memories for me, and as I walk around my old haunts, snatches of the plays we did and the songs we sang come flooding back. The 70s were very much my period. We had punk rock, we had Jonathan Pryce, the Oneida Line, A Midsummer Night's Dream with those whistly things, and this tremendous feeling of being slap bang between the 60s and the 80s. It was on the Bexhill streets of my rebellious youth that I developed a voracious actor's appetite for the details and nuances of life as she is lived. Yes, very interesting. Yes, that'll do. Ah, yes, I think I'll use that for my next performance. The actor will often spend hours like this, wandering around, observing and absorbing, blending into the background. If you spot a nuance, pop it straight into the mental filing cabinet, because if you don't, you'll kick yourself later on.
I went and spent some time with the Chief Constable of Hampshire.
I shall be meeting the Prime Minister of Canada in October.
I'm in a kangaroo.
Is it possible someone to make that kind of a dress themselves?
Have you ever had force spawn?
No, but I'm going to, aren't I?
I've never tasted it. So, ready?
Yes.
It's quite hard to hold.
Oh, dear.
The actor is an unusual figure in society, always in touch with the raw beat of life, but also strangely aloof. And whenever authority cracks its whip, it is the lonely voice of the actor that we hear, wry and sceptical.
There's a strange Robin Hood element in actors, I think.
Well, in a sense, of course, we all are. We all have been politicians because the theatre is a deeply political world.
We need another M1. M1 Mark II, and it's got to be on the cards.
I think it's a very important issue.
The actor now is under more pressure than ever before. Chat shows start earlier, plays get longer, and you've only got to give one performance that's a bit singular and special, and people expect you to turn them out at will. Life is so infinitely more tense-making now than it ever was in one's Bexhill days that one frequently feels like giving up.
Rep was bloody hard too, you know.
What the? Oh, it's you. Fortnightly rep was a damn sight harder than the system currently being operated by the subsidized companies. Yes, but you can't possibly understand the pressures that attend a modern actor's life. Ah, it's all awards and rave reviews for you. But that's not important. The award isn't important. It makes it harder, if anything. The pressures on the actor in the 1970s and even the 1870s were just as great as they are in your day. It's all tough. All acting's tough. But how could you possibly know what... Right, of course. Ours is a timeless burden, and every actor in history has felt like giving up and fleeing for Tuscany from time to time. but he knows in his heart that he must keep faith with Thespis or die.
I suddenly thought, no, I can act. And because I can act, I have a responsibility to that talent, and I must be more careful and choose more carefully what I do.
But I've tried to choose more or less the type of work I want to do.
Well, we'll see what the scripts are like.
Because I'm always trying to look for different areas. I'd like to do a nice film on a beach.
The problem is that most of the time, the scripts one gets sent really are Boring's estate agent, quite frankly. I'm in Yornington Green. I've been extraordinarily lucky with the parts I've been offered, but some of my colleagues have a terrible time finding the right kind of work. Poor buntings.
You know, it's difficult.
It is bloody difficult.
It's very difficult.
It's terribly difficult. Terribly, terribly difficult.
It's very difficult.
A painter can paint. A writer can write. An inland revenue clerk can poddle off and do some auditing whenever the fancy takes him. But without an interesting role to play, the actor is a lame gazelle. A firework on November the 7th. He is, in short, available. Well, I hope we've exposed some of the key features of the actor's extraordinariness in this programme. But even if we haven't, it's been smashing for me coming back here to Bexhill. And I've certainly learnt one hell of a lot about myself. Being special ain't no picnic. Coming for a pint? Okay.
In next week's Naked